Hi everyone, so welcome back to Just Therapy. So this is going to be the first video that I officially kind of do on this channel, and so I thought, being as this is about therapy, I think let's talk about finding the right therapist and what that means. So if you are interested in this, and my name is Emma, I'm a qualified therapist and trained life coach, and you want to know a little bit more and you want to maybe understand aspects of yourself, or you just need some tips and tools to navigate life itself, then this channel could be for you. So that being said, let's dive right in. So this is a very new channel, and for those of you, some of you might have joined me from my other channel, Tea and Therapy, and if you don't know what that's about, then please go and have a look. The link will be below. But for those of you who are just here for the therapeutic perspective, let's talk about finding the right therapist. Now, every single person, and if I talk about clients that come to me, every single one of them, even if they're coming with a similar story, have individual needs. Individual ways of wanting to look at something that is holding them back. So the first thing you want to look at is why you want to come to therapy, or why you want to get a life coach. What is kind of going on in your life that is creating you to feel that you cannot do this yourself? You need outside support for that. And once you've acknowledged that, and that's the first step, and well done if you have acknowledged that, because it's not easy to do that, then the next stage would be trying to find the right therapist. Do not be afraid to ask questions. Do not always just accept that when you go and see a therapist that you've got to stick it out with them because they're professional. That is not always the case. Sometimes your personalities will clash. All therapists, like clients, have individual ways of working, and there is not a one size fits all. Now, speaking for myself, when I have a client that first comes to me, the first few sessions, I get them to talk about themselves, as in their background, what is kind of going on for them, their past, their relationships, if there are any, just pretty much everything. And what this does is it firstly gives me a baseline of how they speak, or how, because language is very important, including body language. So it's not always what is said, but it's also what is not said. So as a trained therapist, I look between the lines and I get to understand what is really kind of going on for them, how they present themselves, whether they are lying, because I can pick up on that, and why, or if they're trying to say what they think I want to hear. So the first few sessions are really just trying to get a gauge on the person, the client, and also building that trust, because without trust, you cannot have a therapeutic relationship. It is deeply important for the client to be able to trust you. And a lot of that is also because they are disclosing deep personal aspects of themselves, including trauma, and they need to be able to trust that the client, they need to be able to trust that the therapist will hold them in that safe space. Because when you come to therapy, you absolutely need to feel safe. Now, what I would always say is give it a couple of goes, because sometimes when you first go to see somebody, it might take a little while to gel with, say, the therapist. Sometimes it can happen straight off, and sometimes it can just take a little while to warm up, because you've got to remember as well, the therapist is also getting to know you, trying to obviously find out things about you, and you are completely different from the previous client. So there's going to be this, in a sense, tentativeness on creating that safe space for you. Remember that therapists are also human. And that's an interesting concept, because especially as when I have done a YouTube channel, I think people can put therapists almost in this box of we're perfect, like we've got everything together. let me tell you, not all the time, we haven't. We still go through things in our personal lives. We still make mistakes. I think the difference, and I can only speak for myself, is that I own them. I genuinely, a lot of the time, understand where they're coming from. So in which case, if I know I'm doing something wrong, I can kind of go, right, I know I'm doing that because either I'm tired or I'm hungry or I'm having a really bad day, something emotional is kind of going on, or maybe something's coming up from my past that I haven't quite worked on enough. And so you tend to understand a lot more about yourself. And this is why it's very, very, very important that you go to somebody that is trained. Because I see, especially on social media, there are a lot of people who give out advice, and they think it's very simple, whether it be because they've gone through it themselves, so they think they're qualified to give out advice, or it's something that represents them, so they feel, again, that they can give out this advice. Now, there's nothing wrong with wanting to support and help people, nothing wrong. And I think there should be more people out there that try to do this. However, just be very mindful that, especially if you're coming from a place of trauma, that you do go and speak to somebody that is trained in this field. Because if you don't, there is every chance that you can be manipulated. There is every chance that that person is going to they're going to bleed their own life into yours. And so what might work for them not necessarily will work for you. But also you can be re-traumatized, and a lot more damage can be incurred. So it's very important that if you are just going to work on maybe some surface things, and and you might just want a little bit of advice, then social media can be a great place to find that. But if you're wanting to work on something a lot more deep rooted, that is coming from a place of trauma, please go and work with somebody that is a specialist in this field and that is qualified, because they have done the work, they have done the training. Like myself, I have gone through college, I have gone through uni, I have got the tools, the training, I have worked for nearly, over 15 years now. So I understand, in a way, that I live, eat, breathe being a therapist, because it becomes who you are. I'm not really that much different in my real life as I am when I work with clients, aside from the obvious. Like, I don't sit down and have a glass of wine while I'm talking to my client. There are obviously certain things I know that I cannot do, but generally speaking, it's just part of who you are. And that genuineness a lot of the time does come across to clients. And then it's about finding the right fit for you. Now, I am what I would call quite eclectic. I take bits from different modalities of therapy. I'm actually trained as a person-centered therapist, which is talking therapy. But I've got training in NLP, which is neuro-linguistic programming, and training in CBT, which is cognitive behavioral therapy. So what I can do is I can draw on some of those, and of course my own training and everything else, and things along the way that you've kind of picked up on, and work with clients effectively. So for you, if you are with somebody that you're working with, a therapist, and you just feel that they're not working for you, what I would suggest is, firstly, look at why. Because what could also be happening is your therapist could be challenging you, especially if they are taking you to a place that feels uncomfortable, somewhere that you're not used to going, you're not used to being challenged, or you're not used to those feelings of being upset, or something's coming up for you. That's a good thing. Even though the therapist should be doing this tentatively, but it is also a good thing to work through with a therapist. If you're suddenly feeling like you don't want to work with them, talk to them. A therapist should be able to keep you in that space and discuss with you why you feel that you are not gelling with them. Now, that could be then resolved, and you actually might find that this particular therapist becomes the perfect therapist for you. But if you feel that like you just trust in your instincts and there's just something that's not quite right, then you are allowed to say, this isn't working for me. and you can leave. At any point, you can leave. You can have a session with a therapist and then decide that it's not for them. You can have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 sessions, and then you can decide this isn't working for me. And so you can then leave. I've had people that they don't like how I work, or perhaps I challenge them too much and they struggle with that, or sometimes they're just not ready. All of these things can come up. So either way, it's important to find someone that is qualified in the field that you want to speak about. Not everyone can deal with certain traumas. Some people are more like in addiction. Some people have a broad range. I have a broad range. I think because I have done it a very long time now, I can work with most things. But I think when it comes to specifics, for example, addictions, sometimes you are better off working with a therapist who has either perhaps been through it themselves and have then got the qualifications, so they have that level of understanding, or somebody that is perhaps that works within drug addiction, alcohol addiction, Gambling Anonymous, or whichever one it is that you feel that you need. It's just really trying to find the right fit for you, because you're not going to get the best out of a therapist, and a therapist isn't going to get the best out of you if you do not build that therapeutic relationship. It is absolutely fundamental. So I hope that gives you some level of understanding. And again, if you have any questions, put them in the comments below and I will try to get to them and answer as many as I possibly can. Obviously, as this is a new channel, I will probably be able to answer most comments. And as the channel hopefully grows, it does get less and less. I have found that on my other channel, that when I very first started, I could go in and I could answer all of the comments, whereas now, unfortunately, I get to a select few and then I'm not able to keep up with the momentum. But I do appreciate everybody that makes the effort to do that. So if you have a comment, if you have a question, stick it in the comments below. If it's really personal, there is an email address, which I will also put in the description box of the video below. You can email me. So I will then hopefully try and answer your email if I can. Now, please don't be upset if I don't answer you. I will do my very best. But as you can imagine, working full time, running now a second YouTube channel, it does take a lot of time and energy, and I do my very best to get to everybody. But sometimes, unfortunately, sometimes people slip through the cracks. So yeah, so if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. I will be doing more. My next one I'm going to start doing about narcissism. So if you're interested in this, then please give this a watch. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss the notification, and click your bell to all. And yeah, so stay safe, everybody. Remember, kindness is everything. And yeah, and also please be kind in the comments, because that's what we're here for. And yeah, so thank you so much. And I will speak to you in the next video. So take care. Bye-bye.